All together, everyone, now. Take your glove, throw it violently to the ground, raise your arms, and prepare to be mobbed. We'll tell you why next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Yeah, the guy who threw the most important pitch in Texas Rangers history has another chance, and that's good news as we welcome you into the DLLS Sports Studios and welcome you to the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson, the cat, the queen is in here today, and we're glad to have you in the chat already. Just by way of information, we're going to talk about Cody Bellinger, and we're going to talk about the Luis Robert Jr. trade a little later on in the program. We'll also get to some of the thinking and changes made for the weekend with the Rangers. And, of course, the Hall of Fame results were announced. We get to all that stuff. But we do start with the fact that one of the truly good guys in that clubhouse, Jeff, is going to have an opportunity. Well, look, this we know. He'll be in the clubhouse at spring training.
Yes, and that's a great thing.
It is.
And, yeah, I think, the checkered injury history, which, he missed all of last season with declining velocity and really even in 24, he wasn't quite all there. And 23, he was on the injured list multiple times. Yeah. So it's teams recognize that stuff and have their concerns, but the Rangers have the most recent medical information. Yep. They know the doctors who performed all the surgeries, and they've monitored Josh. They've wanted to keep him. They just didn't want to do it on a major league deal because of the medical risk. He was non-tendered in November, one of the 3 guys from the World Series team that were non-tendered. But they immediately wanted to bring him back. They haven't made any secrets, haven't been secretive about it. But Josh, I'm sure, was exploring his opportunities. Of course. You want the guaranteed money, you want the 40-man spot. But if it wasn't there, and as we were talking about this the other day, then the best fit for him and his family, I'm sure, was going to be with the Rangers and to get that chance. And look, how much do we talk about the bullpen and the uncertainty and all that stuff? Josh isn't dumb. He probably sees a chance too. If he's back, he's at his best when his fastball's 97, 98. I don't know if he's there yet. He was 93 tops last season as they tried to bring him back. But the off-speed pitch, the curveball was looking good. If he can find a few more miles per hour, he can be an effective guy. And then again, this now falls into the realm of no risk. Right. It's it's not even low risk. It's no risk. Right. You don't have a 40-man spot in play here. There's no guaranteed money here. And so I hope that it works out, both for the club and for the guy, because again, we love the guy. Yes. He's hilarious. Last year we were talking about him when he started throwing, we'd say, well, how are you doing today? And he's like, well, I was about Danny Almonte velocity, I know, and then I'm a sixth grader. He's like, I'm a high school sophomore. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, I think I could get into college with this. So he had a sense of humor about it, despite the frustration. And again, the Rangers knew, and he knew from Keith Meister, that this one might take a while. Yep. and it is. So hopefully he has found something this offseason. Hopefully he's throwing harder. And if he is, then the Rangers have a chance to get a good guy.
I wonder, too, because the one thing we always heard about Josh when he was coming up, and certainly when he had made it up, just how everybody in the organization loved his stuff, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, part of his stuff includes the velo. But the stuff plays, right?
Yeah.
Maybe plenty of guys have figured out a way, even relief pitchers have figured out a way to do it as they get older or whatever it is that causes their velo to drop.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder and hope for him that maybe he can pivot if he needs to. I mean, the perfect world would be that he's back to 97, 98, right?
Right.
Because that's what made it so impressive, his stuff,
Yeah. Maybe it's changing from a four-seamer to a two-seamer.
Sure.
But the curveball is slow enough and has enough depth that it's a pretty significant difference between the heater, and it's not like he's throwing a 92 mile per hour fastball and an 88 mile per hour slider. He's there. It's good enough, I think. Hopefully, though, he can again have the velocity. He's an affordable option, and again, just a good guy. And obviously the Rangers understand it's what have you done for me lately. You can't hang on to the memories, as you saw within a 48-hour span in November. But I hope that I think there are some ties here emotionally to bring him back, and he's just a good fit and a good guy. Yeah, and I imagine what happened in his case is all he was hearing, from and all his agent, he and his agent were hearing was minor league deal, minor league deal, minor league deal. Well, if you're going to take a minor league deal, right, you might as well take it where you're comfortable. If he had gotten a major league offer, I'm sure he would have taken that, obviously. Yeah, I would think so, unless it was someplace he just didn't want to be. But I just, and it's kind of an unfortunate spot that he finds himself in. But if he's able to, latch onto it, right, and find something again, then he can make some more money. I guess, of course. Josh Sborz is not, has not made a fortune. No. I mean, he's made more money than I have in my career, but it's not generational wealth. No. So he wants to. Everybody wants who still has a pulse and can still get it up there wants to give it a shot and hang on for as long as they can. And but he can be really good. We saw it in the postseason in 23 when he was healthy. He was really good. You remember, like spring training? None of us were sure he was going to make the team. Right. And he came up with a ankle injury, quote marks ankle injury. And then he came up and he was healthy and he was really good. And then he got hurt again. And then he came back and was good. And then he got hurt again. And then he came back right in time to, at the right time, healthy for the postseason, and was just a guy. And I know Leclerc was getting all the save opportunities in the postseason, but Sborz was so good in Game 5 of the World Series that even when it was 1-0, after 8. Josh Sborz was going back out. Yeah. That's how good they felt about him. And, it ends up they scored the 4 runs, and he has a very stress-free championship inning, I guess, if you will. Right. I think there were a couple first pitch outs, or it took only 1 or 2 pitches, maybe 3 total to get the first 2 outs, and then got Marte to end it on the high curveball. Was he the MVP of that College World Series? He was. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. But he was a closer then too. Yes, he was. Right. Yeah. So he, and again, ironically, back in the day, I did a feature on this for Bally, but his team beat Dane Dunning's team. Right. In the College World Series. Virginia over Florida. Yeah. But in any event, it was, that's the big game, right? That's big, right? Yeah. The College World Series is huge. It's a very big stage for a human. You know how these college pitchers get used now. And, and if I don't know how Virginia fared in getting to the championship round, but if you go into the losers bracket, you
Yeah.
got a lot of work to do and a lot of games and a lot
Yeah.
of pitches to throw. But yeah, we talked to Wyatt Langford about the College World Series. His team didn't win it,
Yeah.
but he was there in a huge stage for him, and it doesn't get any bigger than the World Series and Major League Baseball. But the fact of the matter is that he's got it in him.
Yeah. So Cardua was saying, if the velo's back, he'll be solid for the bullpen or good for the bullpen, whatever was said there. But how good, I wonder? Like, let's say it's back. It's 23.
Yeah.
We talked about probably throughout last year anyway, if not some in 20, but probably 24. We weren't worried about it because of Kirby Yates. But last year we talked a lot about him getting back and potentially being the closer. He wasn't the closer except in Game 5.
Yeah.
Really in that playoff. But I mean, does he have closer potential, I guess, if he's back?
I think so. I mean, if it's 98 with a nasty curveball, if he can command it, yes. I mean, I think he would be an option. I still think that the goal is for in a perfect world for the Rangers, Alexis Diaz becomes the closer. I think that's their plan A. I really do. But if Sborz can help, if Sborz is good, if Sborz is great, yeah, you could see him closing games.
Yeah, which is again in a year, not unlike last year. We talked about this sort of being painted into the same corner where you've got all these new bullpen arms and none of them have much experience closing.
Yeah.
And again, Josh Sborz, you add him back into this mix. He doesn't have a lot of experience closing either, unless you do go back to his UVA days.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
And you kind of go back to 24 when Leclerc opened the season as a closer, kind of coming off of the World Series deal. And I remember saying, well, geez, Dave Robertson had at the time had like 175 saves going into that season. And Kirby Yates was the reliever of the year. One of those years when he was healthy and pumping. And so before the injury and then bouncing around and finding it again, I'm pretty sure it's probably written somewhere by me that could these guys close? And they ended up getting, Yates ended up getting the first shot, and he never gave it up.
Nope. Good
so
for
if
him.
you had, but the Rangers have not had that kind of closing experience for years.
Yeah, years. No, and then really for a whole year, certainty there, right?
Yeah.
Because remember, in Will Smith was the closer at the start of the year in 23.
Right.
And
it started out again as Leclerc, and then he was terrible,
okay,
and then Will Smith kind of came in.
Over. Okay.
And Will Smith blew his first save, and we're like, oh, God,
here we go.
Do? And then he settled in and really was effective until right up until the All-Star break.
Yeah, he really was. Yeah. And then was he even still with the team?
He was with the team.
He was.
He was on the postseason roster.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he was on the roster then at the end of the year or not. Yeah. But so again, we've talked about it a million times. Joe Nathan's the last sort of full-time closer they had.
Yeah.
And it's time for the Rangers eventually. And I don't know that Josh Sborz would be that. I guess he could. How old is Josh? Is he 30s?
I'd imagine he's 30 if he went to college in 14.
Yeah.
And then, but he's not.
He's not old.
Let's take a look, shall we?
Yeah.
Josh Sborz is 32.
32.
December 17th. He's a fresh 32.
Yeah, he is. And again, for pitchers, that if you're a position player, you start to worry, into the middle 30s, which he's almost at, but not for a pitcher. And so anyway, we'll see what happens with him. But we root for him, as we've said, because he's a good dude. There you go. Born in 93. He's a good dude.
The year I graduated from high school.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah. In December of 93, I was at TCU. Yeah, I was a freshman at TCU in December of 93.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you graduated in June of 93. I thought you were going to say you graduated in December. You were one of those.
Oh, no. I
got done early. And
so I
that.
could get to college and start working on that history degree.
Right. Yeah. Had to get there. Had to get there for spring drills.
That's right.
In the history department. Fantastic. All right, so that's this Sborz news, and yeah, let's talk about this weather deal and the cancellation of the Fan Fest for this weekend, which came yesterday afternoon. We'll talk about that next after you see some commercials that will look familiar right here on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Wild Fork Foods. Visit them at wildforkfoods.com. or one of their 9 locations in the DFW area, with 2 more coming to the west side, kind of where I live. Looking forward to that. John, I went to the grocery store the other night to pick up some dinner because my wife was like, I can't do it. You got to go. It's like, all right, cool. So we're going to make, like Chipotle bowls because the kids like them, but they like the steak. And I couldn't believe at the local grocery store how much steak cost. Right. Then I was like, my God, Wild Fork Foods is where you got to get your meat. It's so much cheaper. Every Monday they have a marketing meeting where they go over the prices for all the places that sell meat in the area, and then they go to the lowest price and beat that.
Yep.
And I mean, it was outrageous. I couldn't believe how much I paid for a steak. It's like I should have just gone out to a restaurant or something. But anyway, wildforkfoods.com. They have the best meat, the best variety, and the best prices. Visit them today.
That is such a good idea, as is Mars Men. Oh, man, do we like Mars Men, because it's that time of year, man. It's gray outside. It's chilly. We're expecting some precipitation, and you just feel a little run down. Guess what? It's not the weather. It's your testosterone, man. You need to have a little boost in the testosterone department of your body. There's no doubt about that. Almost everybody needs it. A lot of times people have the right amount of testosterone, and there's this enzyme in there that kind of locks it up and won't let it be used by your body how it wants to use it. Here's the thing. Mars Men. You see that? Mars Men comes in this. This is a beautiful little tablet, and for a limited time, our listeners get 50% off, plus free shipping. That's 50% off for life, plus free shipping and free gifts at Mars Men. So, by way of explanation, Kat says we can reuse the commercials often like that, but we like to give you handcrafted commercials on the daily.
Yeah.
We did not handcraft the commercials today just because we're both sitting here with the frogs in our throat. So we thought we'd give our voices at least that 2 minutes to rest. But just so you know.
Well, and Kat was out at the bars.
Kat
with a friend.
Out having a little wine date at 11 this morning or some such with her girlfriends. Coffee.
Irish coffee. Okay.
Yeah. Irish coffee. Yeah. And so anyway, but that's how much we love you and this show. We have the option to tape those bad boys and run them over and over again. We handcraft them every day.
Yeah, we like to do that, and at least have the same clothes on.
That's right. Yeah, it looks a little.
Yeah,
it does look a little.
Like, what's
bit
going
weird
on here? And try to give it at least the look of being live.
Yeah, it does look a little weird, but anyway, that's the behind the scenes look at that, and the Winterfest or the Fan Fest was canceled, as was pretty much everything after today, right? That the Rangers had scheduled as part of Winter Carnival Week, and that includes Fan Fest. That includes, there was a Friday event.
There were a couple Friday things. I think there were 3 Friday things, actually.
And a Sunday thing.
And a Sunday with Nimmo, who was coming in from Florida. And, it's really, the Rangers didn't want to do this. All right. I mean, it's very, very unfortunate. And the Rangers recognize that, and it just sucks, and
it does.
But it's not just, the safety of the players and those traveling from out of town and team personnel. You have to have a lot of employees at this thing.
Right.
And so they have to get to the ballpark. And then all the fans that were coming, you can't have them on those roads and in the parking lots, right?
Right.
I mean,
right.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the parking lots aren't flat.
No.
Lot B up by the ballpark, and it just slopes all the way down.
Mountain. Yeah.
And then where we park in lot R, it's just
the opposite way.
Steady downhill into the parking lot. Lot T, right next to the ballpark, is just a slope.
Yep.
So I mean, and then the roads. Randall Mill is flat. Stadium is flat, but Ballpark Way is not flat.
Nope.
And so you can't have these cars spinning out and running into each other and all that stuff. And maybe they could have waited a little while longer. Maybe the forecast is going to change, but the understanding that I have is that forecasters were speaking with more and more conviction about this happening. There's not, well, the model could shift or any of that. There's no shifting in the model. This is happening.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why the Rangers did it. And I know some people are like, well, why couldn't they just push it to Sunday? It's going to be 25 degrees Sunday. Yeah. There's going to be no melting of this ice probably until
Monday,
Tuesday at the earliest. Because Monday's only supposed to be like 35.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if the wind's blowing, it's not going to help. So it is unfortunate. Why not reschedule it for the following weekend? Well, then you got to change everybody's plans.
Right.
I mean, they didn't just decide to do Fan Fest a couple weeks ago.
No, it's been on the books
and these
for
guys
months.
Players go on vacation. They do all sorts of things right before the start of spring training with their families, and to reschedule and to reprogram everything, to get staff, seasonal staff we're talking about during the season. Then the Rangers don't employ those people year round.
No.
So I mean, it just was a logistical disaster, and it is unfortunate. Again, I want to go.
Yeah. I
want to talk to the players. I want to have
100%.
Stories going into spring training, and to build up momentum and get people reading our stuff again, and get them back into the habit of checking DLLS. Hopefully, the Rangers will schedule some conference call, some Zoom calls and stuff like that to help the poor media out. But it's just a terrible set of circumstances that no team would want to face, and the Rangers had to make the decision that probably made the most sense and for safety's sake was the right thing to do.
When it first came across my phone, one of the things that I thought was the Rangers also have within their group, within their organization, really good intel on precipitation, known as Dennis Klein. And I don't know if it's him personally. He's the groundskeeper.
Right.
I don't know if it's him personally or someone on his staff. But I'm telling you, those guys knew to the minute when that rain was coming in.
Oh, my gosh.
When we in the old ballpark.
Right.
And they had to put the tarp out or whatever they had to do.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I'd be like, especially when I was at Channel 5, I'd say, I'd see him down there and go, I can call, Finn Frock or whoever. And they go, we don't need it. We got it. We know.
Yeah.
And they did. They always knew. They were really good at that. I don't know if any of them were meteorologically trained, but, man, they knew. So that was my first thought. And then my second thought was it just sucks because they love the Rangers. I don't know about the players per se. I think the players like doing it at least. The Rangers love doing it.
Yeah.
Right? They love, sharing their team in an environment that normally people, fans, don't get to experience. I mean, it's like the only time of the year, unless you go to spring training, which we're advocates of.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the only time of the year that you can get sort of in any, realm that up close and personal to that many players at one time.
For sure. And it's like, in my mind, as soon as Fan Fest happens, next thing you know, you're in Arizona.
Right.
It's
always
it opens the floodgates to spring training. And I know that, some people say, well, I really don't start to feel it till the Super Bowl. Well, the Super Bowl now is like so close to spring training. If you're not in spring training mode by the Super Bowl, you're going to be late.
Yeah.
And so
and next year, by the way, the national championship game, the college football playoff.
I saw that.
Next year, it's going to be almost time for spring training. It's unbelievable.
It
the
is.
26th or 7th or something next year.
And it's unnecessary.
It's crazy.
I think
They got to redo that.
It should be played on a Saturday.
A and B,
but then they'll be up against the NFL playoffs, so
right? But if they just get rid of now they don't need the conference championship games as much for all those data points and all that other stuff. Get rid of those and start it the weekend of the Army-Navy game.
The Army-Navy game needs to be a bowl game.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
there you go.
Although they're still the Commander's Trophy and all that stuff, and they have bowl ties in if they're bowl eligible. Screw it, make it a bowl game.
Yeah. You could still award the Commander's Trophy. Any bowl would be thrilled to be associated with the Commander in Chief.
You go and look at attendance for bowl games involving the academies, and it's high. It's always high. There are veterans everywhere.
Yep.
And the Armed Forces Bowl here in Fort Worth does a great job of getting, tickets distributed to veterans, and they just do a really good job with that. But wherever Army goes, it's going to be a big crowd. Wherever Navy goes, there's a crowd. Air Force too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it's fantastic. I love the pageantry of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying do away with it. I'm just saying, move. Where the heck do we go? All of a sudden, we're doing a college football show.
These if you haven't seen a game at an academy, you need to go.
Oh yeah,
it's fantastic. Games at Army are
I've never been there.
Fantastic.
Man. I mean, I've been on campus, but I've never been to the stadium.
It's great. Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
Right.
I've been on both those campuses, Army and Navy. I
haven't been to Annapolis.
Have you been to the Air Force?
Yeah,
I'm sure you have in Colorado.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, we got diverted, but let's get back to this was fun. Last night, the Stars finally got off the schneid a little bit, and we had a full-on robo game, man. Jason Robertson, couple of goals. Just he can take a game over, and Jason Robertson did that last night. Now, the tradition in hockey is that, in the Stars anyway, when you are the player of the game in the locker room, the room, they call it, you get a cowboy hat, and you put a cowboy hat on. That's how we get a picture of you, and you've got a cowboy hat. Last night, there were some special visitors with Robo as he celebrated his game. Look at there. Seager, you got Sborz, you got Berger, you got Robert Garcia. Is that Bobby Witt Jr.? Who's on the far end?
Bobby Witt Jr. was at the game. I know that. I would need it to be blown up to be able to see, but definitely Garcia. Is that Young, Berger?
Yeah,
Garcia. I don't know who is to Robertson's left. Or not to his left, on the end.
On the end there.
Apparently Corey was a late ad because they didn't have a jersey for him.
Right, maybe.
Or maybe he didn't like the jersey or something. But,
and that's the interesting thing. He's obviously, because we also saw him at the backyard battle that Josh Young had this weekend. So Corey is in. It's Cole Winn. Okay, thank you.
Oh man, my man Cole. Sorry,
you.
Cole. I didn't recognize.
Hard to say. It was hard to tell. But anyway, Corey was in town for the weekend, and he's still in town. So he was planning now. Maybe he's trying to get out.
I bet he gets out today. Yeah. So, and Corey, because he lived in Nashville, also attended Jake Berger's deal.
Yeah.
In November. So there we go.
So anyway, I think it sucks that the Fan Fest can't go on, and somebody in the chat said probably the autograph seekers aren't super happy about it, and I assume that's probably true. But most of I don't only ones I feel sorry for are the true autograph seekers, right?
Yeah,
those people that are just out there getting them to sell them. I don't feel too bad for. So.
Yeah, they got to make money somehow, and that's how they chose it. And this probably puts a dent in their income, but I do always wonder, like, what does it? Is there a huge demand for like a Josh Sborz autograph?
Right.
No offense to Josh, but I mean,
Or Cole Winn.
Are people just going crazy on eBay for a Jake Berger autograph?
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sure somewhere, somehow you can sell one and all of that stuff, but it sure does seem like you would have a very limited pool of people to be profitable.
Right. Yeah, it really does. So I don't know. I'm not in that world. Our buddy Mike Bassick is more in that world, but
Fair to saying Langford is around 300 right now.
Langford. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, what about Cole Wayne or Josh Sborz or somebody like that who you might get it?
But I don't think you can walk in anymore with like a dozen balls and have
a whole of them
Langford
sign
the whole dozen.
Yeah,
I think is
one item,
one per.
I think it's usually one item each. Yeah. So anyway, the buying a Langford card right now. Okay, very good, Mason. Anyway, that's it. Sorry to all of you and to us, and we were
going to be out there.
Yeah, we were planning to be there. So
yeah.
But I am also glad because I would have been there one way or the other, right? As you would have too, probably. I'm really glad I don't have to drive in it. I mean, you're from Colorado. I'm from Michigan. I know how to drive in it. Doesn't mean I like driving in it. Right. The bad weather.
Yeah,
so.
and I'm very confident that I can get around.
My
concern is the other people.
Me too.
Yeah.
100%. All right. So that's that. More coming as we get to the Hall of Fame. It was fun. A couple of former Rangers actually did make it, as we predicted they would yesterday. Let's talk about that next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And we would really like to implore you to become a supporter of the Supporters Club. It's us. You're supporting us as a member of the Supporters Club. Look at that. The club is already a year old. We started way back in 25.
I think it's about 6 months old.
26 now. Yeah, I'm not good at math. I just know numbers. It's 26 now, and it started in 25. And so we're really glad to have this Supporters Club as one of the avenues that you can take to support this group and what we do, and also kind of gives you a chance to hang out with us. And what we do is we provide behind the scenes looks at what we do on a daily basis around here. We're off the hook for a minute because we had last week's when the Queen did such a great job on that deal. But so the other three groups will all put one out over the course of the next 3 weeks, and then it'll be back to our turn. And anyway, that's fun. Supporters Club.
Yeah. Won't cost you a dime to join our newsletter email list, which you can do at alldls.com. Go to the very bottom, and there's a box where you just type in your email address, hit submit, and voila, Ali's handiwork drops right into your inbox whenever it's ready to go every morning. Stars and Slump dump one of the best teams, right? But he starts it off with, who has the better barbecue, Texas or Kansas City? Well, I mean, we obviously know that answer.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. I mean, the Kansas City stuff's good, but come on.
It ain't Texas.
Yeah. And he did make mention our podcast and made some Cowboys note, a Mavs note. So, look, if you want to get caught up on your favorite teams and then maybe dive into the stuff we've written, become a member of our newsletter list.
Yeah, we'd love you to do that as well. And I do, Leon's in there saying, got the Darren Oliver and Robinson Chirinos autographs at the Fan Fest in 2024, and that made me so happy. It's people like that I feel bad for, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, again, Leon wasn't getting those to sell them, especially the D.O. one. I don't think the Darren Oliver one probably had much.
I don't know that the Chirinos one did either.
Robinson either, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I feel bad for anybody that was hoping to just go and talk to them and see them and say hi and whatever.
Nice guys.
They are. Most of them are really nice guys. The Rangers are good at making sure that is. Oh, look at there. Who's gifting? Oh, is it Leon?
Leon's going crazy.
Leon gifted 5 of them. Thank you, Leon. Appreciate you very much. We got gifts being passed around. Hopefully some of you are in the chat right now and can thank Leon in your absentia, which some of you may be absent. We will thank him for you. Very cool. Thank you, Leon. So the Hall of Fame election results are in, and it basically fell out, Jeff, as we thought. It's going to be a 3-person class.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a class of Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, and Jeff Kent.
Yeah, and Kent was the Veterans Committee selectee back there at the winter meeting. So Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones get in yesterday. A pretty strong percentage for Beltran in the upper 80s Old Andrew snuck in at 78%. But they don't ask you what percentage you got. They ask you if you're in the club. And, and they are. And I know there's some selective ire out there with Beltran because of the Astros cheating scandal and all of that. Andrew Jones, as we talked about yesterday, if the batting average in the 260s or whatever, but just redefined how center field defense is played. He played so shallow, and he
didn't want any bloops to fall.
Took hits away, and he was still able to go back and get balls. And it didn't turn out well for him at the end, but you don't have a lot of 50 home run hitters in their last full season in the majors, but both of them did play for the Rangers, albeit sparingly. In 09 for Jones, and then 16 after the deadline for Beltran. And what is that now? How many Rangers?
Oh yeah, let's show that.
We got
list,
that list.
Kat. How many? 10, I think, or 11 Rangers. 11. 11 Rangers. But the cool thing is, Fergie is essentially, and I know he's a Cub. He's a Cub. He's in as a Cub. Yeah. We see him a lot. Because he lives here. So, we get the benefit of Fergie. We Nolan played much longer in a couple of other stops than he did here. Sure. And Nolan's in as a Ranger. Pudge, of course, played several places, but mostly here. He's in as a Ranger. And Adrian, same case. So to have had all those guys, we never see Bert. We see Bert in Minnesota, and the other guys, we won't see much. But it is pretty cool to have had all those guys, and the Rangers can rightly be proud. It's because Beltran played so many places. There was some discussion about where what hat he might go in, as it looks like it'll be a Mets hat that he wears.
Yeah, I feel bad for the Royals on that one, but
I do.
That's okay. Excellent switch hitter. When he was at his peak, he could steal bases, he could hit home runs, he could hit for average, he could play a great defense. So that's cool. And again, Andrew Jones, when we were yesterday, I think the Ozzie Smith thing was a real eye opener. I didn't realize he had 28 home runs in his career. I mean, that was strictly a defense award, and he was spectacular.
Yep.
And, shortstop plays at the time, going up the middle, and, the diving plays that he made and all those things. If you think Andrew Jones wasn't a spectacular defender, Google or search YouTube for Andrew Jones' best plays, and you'll be like, oh, my God. And then even the plays where it looks like he's camped under them are great plays because, again, how much ground he had to cover from playing shallow. And he, those Braves teams now have a ton of Hall of Famers, headlined by the three pitchers, but also Chipper Jones and Freddie McGriff. I'm skipping guys, but Andrew Jones rightfully belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and that team that has Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox, Bobby Cox, John Schuerholz, and Chipper Jones, and now Andrew Jones.
Right. And Fred McGriff was,
was he? Yeah, maybe.
He played in those teams. On those teams.
So you've got 8 people from those teams in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
they should have won more.
They should have,
and we knew that then. We knew then, especially with that rotation.
I'd like to see Mark Lemke and Jeff Blauser get in. Terry Pendleton, Lonnie Smith.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen. But,
those guys aren't making it. But interesting on the voting. I saw one guy. First of all, I saw that Shin-Soo Choo got 3.
I was not the only.
Yep.
I was not the only Choo voter.
And I think it was a Dan Connolly, you might know from Baltimore. He voted for Nick Markakis, and people were all up in arms. You should take his vote away.
Yeah, no, I got that too. Yeah,
did you?
Sure.
Yeah, and the reality is he wrote it, and you wrote it too.
Yeah.
Read what I wrote. Right there's a justification, and his ultimate bottom line, Connolly, was a little different than yours, but similar in that Nick Markakis, played for a long time in Baltimore. He's on the ballot, and he's a good guy, and he did everything right, and he didn't deserve to get shut out. You know? Yeah. It's my vote.
Nick Markakis had a ton of hits in his career.
He did. He
didn't have 3,000, but he had a bunch of hits.
Yeah, and he's not a Hall of Famer, and no one's claiming he is.
And I'm not saying Chu was either.
No. But
so So these people just is it really that big a deal? Do you need to jump on our cases for that?
Yeah.
I mean, I voted for Beltran and Andrew Jones too. Where's my credit for that?
Thing. Yeah, that's the thing. If you'd voted for Nick Markakis and somebody else and left Jones and Beltran off, we'd go, maybe it's worthwhile going, this dude voted for Sin-Soo Choo and whoever and Nick Markakis, but he left the two guys who made it off.
Well, if I had a Choo only ballot, I could understand.
Right. Yeah. But here's the thing, and you know more about this as a voter and now becoming somewhat of a longtime voter than me, but I think it was 7 or 9 ballots were returned empty.
Yeah, that happens.
What's up with that?
Yeah, I think it's still a PED thing,
Really?
And there are some people who are like, hey, only the best of the best of the best. And but I just don't think that's the way voting is anymore. And I'll be perfectly honest, and we don't need to continue to Hall of Famers don't get trashed,
Right.
And although I didn't take it easy on Ozzie Smith's offensive credentials yesterday. How about Pee Wee Reese? Okay. Pee Wee Reese, 743 OPS. So that, that's still considered league average today. But, Pee Wee's not out there knocking 40 home runs a year out. He, I think his career high here is 16. Now he played for great teams. He's a, great guy. Everybody loved him.
Yep.
So, all right, that's fine. That's fine. Luis Aparicio probably wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame today.
Right.
Great infielder and stole a ton of bases. One of the handful of Venezuela. He's from Venezuela, right? One of the very few number of Venezuelans who are in. Not sure he gets in today.
Right.
The game is changing. Voting is changing. How players are viewed. They don't play for 40 years anymore.
No.
No. And yet Pee Wee Reese lost a couple years to military service. Played from 40 to 1958.
Jeez.
And
lost a couple within there.
Lost 3 years because of the war. I just absolutely think people kind of need to take a bigger picture look here. There are guys in the Hall of Fame, based on the eras in which they played when they were great, would have no chance to get in today.
No, it's true. And talking about somebody asked in there about the possibility of Cole Hamels next year. Burley, King Felix in particular, and maybe one more. And then also Cole was his first year, and he showed well, 23-point-something%.
Yeah, he'll be back on the ballot.
Yeah, he gets back on the ballot. But both King Felix and Mark Burley moved up significantly to the point that it looks like, their candidacy has legs, right? It looks like they're going to maybe. It's amazing how, Andrew Jones in his first year of eligibility got 8% of the vote, which is shocking.
Yeah, and it's like one of the lowest, or might be the lowest total in the first year and to make the Hall of Fame.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I just, and look, some of it is that it was watered down. This year's ballot was.
It was.
And very watered down, and maybe people felt compelled, I don't like it when nobody gets in.
No.
I do not like that.
I'd hate that too. But I like it better than putting someone in who doesn't belong.
I guess so, yeah. Like Harold Baines, who was a Veterans Committee guy, and as Missy pointed out, Reese was did not have the support of the writers, but still gets in via the committee,
right?
And maybe that's what it happens to. I could see Michael Young getting a lot of support in that situation, but it's I don't know. I just really think that people need to not be so mean.
That's right.
And about a ballot.
Yeah, and to your point about
and they need to read the stories.
That's right. Read the words. And your point about this class, MLB.com ranked all the classes by WAR. Okay. Needless to say, the very first class was the number one ranked class as well, because so many guys. You got Ty Cobb and Babe Ruth on it. You know, I think the number 5 had 2 guys you've never heard of, but Cy Young, right? Yeah. He's going to jack the WAR numbers up, right? Anyway, this class is ranked as the 44th out of 80, whatever, 84 or 87, whatever it is. This is the 44th best or worst class. I was at to cover the 16th, I think it was, Nolan Ryan and George Brett. And I was at, as you were. So
was that 99?
Yeah, and I was at the 33rd ranked class when Pudge went in.
Okay.
So anyway, I thought that was a pretty cool ranking. And again, it's by the numbers. I mean, they broke it down by WAR. So anyway, that's a little Hall of Fame talk for you, and we'll be anxious to. Again, we got a voter on the panel here, so
yeah. And by the way, my feelings weren't hurt. I have no problem with my ballot. I feel very secure about it. I'm not sensitive to that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, just read the story.
Yeah.
Before you call me an MFer, read the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. All right. So more coming up as we get to our cleanup segment. And we have good news about the top 100 in minor league baseball prospects coming next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. So you should become a diehard.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a no-brainer. It's you get so much stuff. I imagine the story you wrote just about the winter the fan fest being canceled was probably not behind the paywall.
Not behind the paywall. That was a freebie.
That's a freebie. But
it's a community service.
Most of them are, and the really good stuff always is. And that's just like any of these services out there. Remember, they've all got paywalls now. So ours is a relatively easy number to jump, right? An easy fence. That our paywall is not super high. In fact, if you go there today, I think you'll be surprised just how low it is. You can basically get our coverage for a full year for about the price you'd pay for one of our T-shirts. Oh, and by the way, Jeff's going to remind you in a minute, you get a free T-shirt. So it's basically buy a T-shirt, get a year of coverage, 20% off events, 20% off other merchandise that you may be interested in buying. And so many more benefits by becoming a diehard. So please do that.
Yeah. And as John alluded, store.allcitynetwork.com is where you go to get your free shirt. Excuse me. And it's not just Rangers shirts. There's shirts from all of our beats and some of the area colleges and hats. We're up to 5 hats now. And I'm a big proponent of a Rangers themed hat coming. Would love that. So hopefully you guys let's start a petition maybe and send it to Eric and say, hey man, the people have spoken.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's not just that. There's sweatshirts which keep you warm. And I guess the beer steins and coffee mugs keep you warm too. Store.allcitynetwork.com.
Yeah. I saw I think it was Pete Delkus, one of the weather guys, put out a thing about the weather this weekend and a graphic that they put on the screen. And it said the things you need to stock up on. And, it talked about the toiletries and the, bread and milk and butter and all that. And then it said beer, wine, and hard liquor.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that's a pretty good point. Yeah. And a beer stein full of beer can certainly keep you warm.
I know. I remember seeing this in my youth in cartoons that if a St. Bernard found you in a blizzard, he warmed you up with alcohol.
Bourbon. Yeah.
So it's proven.
Yeah.
It's proven.
It's got to be proven. So anyway, that's that. The Baseball America Top 100 is out.
Yeah.
We were expecting it a little sooner than this, but
I got
think
a heads
it's
up
good
about
news
10 days ago.
It's good news for Caden Scarborough.
Very good news.
He's on it, and he's all the way up to 65 on the list.
Yeah, when I first went to the list, I went immediately to the bottom, and
Right.
he was 65. I was a little surprised by that. So good for him. And Walcott at 16 is down.
Yeah.
But when you read the little quip or comment about him, it's like, this guy's as electric as ever. He was only 19 last year, which is younger than most of the people who are going to be drafted in 2026. Like, this guy's going to be a star. He might make his debut as soon as this year. So I haven't read their deeper scouting report, which I'm sure alludes to the strikeouts and whatnot. But hey, he's on there. I bet he ascends this year as he did last year. Scarborough, that's pretty interesting. I tweeted that out, and some people are like, "Oh, that's inexcusable for the organization." And you would love to have 8, right? But the fact is, if you remember last year's list, they had Alejandro Rosario on it.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's out. Missed last season and will miss this season. And I can't wait to get into that when the time is right. And then Kumar Rocker was also I think he might have been their highest rated prospect last year, and he's graduated from that list because he has surpassed the rookie eligibility. But I still view him as a prospect
100%.
So I still think that the Rangers have some guys. I know it doesn't necessarily shine through on these rankings, but and I would suspect that the Rangers are very bullish on Gavin Fine
or Fiend.
I don't remember. Shoot,
Fiend, I think. I don't know.
Whatever. He'll be. They think he'll be on the list at some point in the upcoming year. They think Corniel is a potential top 100 guy this year. So, yeah, we all know the farm system's not what it used to be.
No,
and that happens when you are a contender, and you trade from your farm system at the deadline to upgrade things. So, I wouldn't be too worried about it. We probably knew this was coming. I'm actually surprised that the Rangers had more than one,
right?
To be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So hats off to Caden Scarborough. But
yeah.
I wouldn't be too hung up on this.
Cody Bellinger signs with the Yankees. Happened just before the show began, or at least it was announced just before the show began. 5 years, $162.5 million, Jeff. He's got opt-outs after years 2 and 3, and he's got a full no trade. And again, stays with, basically the Yankees. The Yankees, had him as a target the whole offseason. They wanted him. Some of the things I saw written recently said they weren't going to go over 5 for 160, and clearly they did. So, good for them. You've got to move a little bit. It's called negotiations,
it's only $2.5
Yeah, it's only $2.5 million. That's not that's chump change, especially in that New York deal. So anyway, he's we're winding down now to where the other than Framber, maybe Zach Gallen, but most of the really high profile free agents are gonzo.
Yeah, they are, and like you said, Framber's the biggest.
Yeah,
I would guess at this point. I don't know.
I think so, and
I've really eliminated the top free agents from my memory. I didn't even bother to figure out who they were because I knew the Rangers weren't going to be in any of them.
Yeah.
But I do think that those now. I don't think they're imminent. I think they're out there for a reason.
Yes.
And I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Rangers get Zach Gallen. That'd be great.
Yeah, be awesome.
Anyway, still now it's getting to the point where I think the Rangers it will be, I know it's been bargain bin, but I think it'll be really bargain bin,
Yeah. Now, and again, I don't want to disparage this man because he was so good last year, but like Patrick Corbin.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And who knows? It could be Patrick Corbin, right? Or it could be someone like Patrick Corbin, but that's probably who they'll look to now. to help fill out the rotation, which they still need, at least one to do until Cody Bradford comes back, and we assume with more additions to the bullpen that Jacob Latz is likely headed towards start. It's one of the reasons we wanted to get together with everybody this weekend.
Yeah.
See if we could ask some of those questions. But anyway, Mets get Luis Robert Jr. from the White Sox, and our buddy, what do we call him, Luis Angel Acuna, and Truman Pauly go back to Chicago. And there's a lot of people nationally saying, that this is a bad deal. The Mets gave up too much for a guy who has absolutely fallen off the table. Now, how much of his falling off the table has to do with the fact that the team was so bad for the last couple of years in Chicago?
Yeah, and I didn't see it. It looks like no cash changed hands, which probably permitted the White Sox to take on a higher regarded prospect like Acuna. Look, I think people recognize that Luis Robert Jr. is injured a lot, but he does kind of fit into the same mold as Marcus Semien in that when he's healthy, he's a hell of a center fielder.
Yes,
he's a Gold Glove winner, and the Mets have made it a point that they want to upgrade their offense or their defense,
run prevention,
and so hey, that's a guy who when he's on the field can do it for you, and he still popped some home runs last year, so there's still some value there offensively, and maybe the whole change of scenery, maybe he didn't like playing for a losing team. All of his buddies have been traded away, so and I think the other interesting thing is that the White Sox are planning to spend that money,
right? Yeah,
and you feel at a certain point as an organization after a couple years of stinking that it's time to start. And I think the White Sox are at that point where they feel like it's time to start investing and see what happens.
Well, and as we say about this market all the time, this is a big market. This is a don't call us Milwaukee or Kansas City. This is a big market. So is Chicago.
Yes.
Chicago's one of only 3 bigger.
Right.
So, yeah, Chicago's a big market. They need to be spending money along those lines and that type of thing. Happy 57th birthday to our buddy Rusty Greer.
Hey, Rusty.
Turns 57 today. Played, and I knew he played a long time, Jeff, but again, with his injuries and the way he sacrificed his body, I was surprised he got to this number. He played over 1,000 games in a Rangers uniform. 1,052 or something like that.
Yeah. Obviously, I think my first memory of him is the catch in the Kenny Rogers perfect game. But guy who played hard and threw caution to the wind, and fortunately his body sometimes was the victim of that. But good hitter, good guy.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah.
I see Rarities talking about people on Twitter calling the Scherzer-Acuna trade a bad trade now. I don't necessarily agree with that either. The Rangers had to do what they had to do that year, and it led to winning a World Series. But I do believe I've seen from the Mets side people saying, wow, we really won the Scherzer trade now because we got Luis Robert Jr., right? But, yeah, whatever. That's math, and that's 2 times removed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and then, Luis Angel is so much different than his brother,
right?
Ronald, like personality-wise.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ronald was in the big leagues at 19 and all this stuff, but like personality-wise, Luis Angel is a shy kid and would rather stay in his hotel room and play video games than go out and do whatever Ronald does. But they're very close, the two of them, and the Rangers are always hoping that Luis Angel could get just a little taller. Different mothers, same father, and the father is a giant. He's like 6'4".
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. And I might agree with you there, Kelly, man. Cole Reagan's that loss, but I don't know that he ever would have developed here.
He was a reliever at best for the Rangers at that time. And then he went to Kansas City, and like, you are a starter.
Yeah, you're our star.
And we don't have any. And so you're just going to start. And it took off. So, and great for him. You talk about a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Cole Reagans is at the top of the list.
Yeah, and a dude that's now, I saw the rankings of the top 50 pitchers in the game. He's top 10, right?
He's very, very
among
good.
those. So good for him. Good for you for pointing it out. Kelly, man, thank you. And all of you for hanging out with us today. Let's
ask this. Would you rather have Cole Reagan or the World Series title?
Yeah, I'd rather have.
Which one would you rather have?
Yeah, I'd rather have the World Series title. Yep.
Yeah.
No doubt. So, and I was going to knock on wood earlier, but I didn't want to jinx anything. But neither of us coughed up a lung today. I was the guilty party yesterday.
I still have to clear my throat a lot.
Yeah. We're still fighting the mountain cedar flu. I've got everything needed in the water and everything. But anyway, we're glad not to have to inflict that upon you as a listener and a viewer today. We're back tomorrow and Friday. As we've got 2 more editions this week of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.